from. Thank you so much for joining me at A Small World tonight. And A Small World, thank you very much for hosting me as well. I'm your game show host tonight, Matthew Robertson. We're going to have some fun. We got some celebrity appearances and wait, no, sorry. That's tomorrow night. I do a lot of these. Tonight, I think, is From Zero to Public Speaking Hero. That's right. Matthew Robertson is my name, and I'm going to teach you how to be a better public speaking champion in half an hour or 40 minutes or so. The way and the order of tonight's events will be just a quick introduction from myself, followed by some slides with some practical tips. And then towards the end, maybe at the 35-minute mark, I'll allow for some Q&A. Along the way, please feel free to type into the chat box and I'll read your comments at the end if you have a question in the moment. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and we will begin. Awesome. Okay, here we go. Let's change slide. Cool. Just confirm, administrator, can you see the screen with the slides being shared?
Yes, we can see it.
Brilliant, fantastic. So, why are you here tonight? Why is public speaking important? Why is it important for me? Why do I do it? Why is it important for you? And most importantly, why is it important for us, for the audience? Have you ever sat in a meeting and you've been asked a question by someone, perhaps on the other end of a Zoom call or even back pre-corona, and they asked you the question in person and you panicked? You either had no idea what to say or you choked on your words, or perhaps whatever came out of your mouth just didn't quite make sense. I've done that. I've done that a few times. There's no shame in admitting it. Or perhaps you're in a bar and you want to go up to a stranger and have a good conversation with them, but you quake in your boots, you sweat, you become clammy, and you don't know what to say. Public speaking can help there. Maybe you're on a first date with someone and you want to get the message out that you love them and they're the love of your life, but you just can't quite find the right words to say. Don't worry, because public speaking can help there as well. Everyone on the line, thank you so much for joining and taking those first steps into becoming a better public speaker and a better communicator. We all have a message inside us that we want to say in the right way. Sometimes we don't know how to say it or we're afraid to. How do we make a message relatable? How do we make that message convincing or even motivating? Well, tonight, I'm going to give you some practical tips that helped me along my, 7-8 year journey now of becoming a public speaker, a 2-time London champion Toastmaster, and hopefully an all-round good guy. This is how we're going to structure the meeting. Let me give you just a quick introduction to who I am and why I'm on this virtual stage tonight. I'll then go into the practical tips. This is why you guys are here tonight. And then after that, as I mentioned before, we'll go into some Q&A. So please type, write. I'll even allow you to unmute yourselves and you can ask me the question in person. So from, as I like to call myself, the public speaking tadpole to 2-time London public speaking champion. Now, I actually gave this speech, I think this is my 3rd time now with A Small World. I've been a member from 2011, I think. And since then, I've been on this public speaking journey. And last year, I became London's public speaking champion twice. But let me explain how I got there. So, tadpole, the smallest of creatures that evolves into the mighty frog. Back when I was in school, back as I was in university, I remember having to give a few speeches or presentations in front of the class and getting up beforehand and shuffling my way to the front, nerves flipping my belly upside down. I was sweating, my hands were clammy. I felt like Eminem just as he's about to go on stage in the film The 8 Mile and he wants to dry heave and throw up. And I remember garbling the message, or perhaps I wasn't even looking at the crowd. I was just looking at my notes and reading a script. And whatever I said just didn't seem great. And this is a challenge. It wasn't a problem. It's never a problem, guys. It's always a challenge which anyone faces. And I'm sure many people on the line have been through that. Maybe it's not in university like me, maybe it's in your work life, or as I mentioned, your dating life. You have a message inside you, but you just can't figure out the best way to say it. You get flushed, you sweat, you forget your words, you speak too fast, you speak too slow, you use filler words, ums and ahs. Oh, there's got to be a solution out there. Well, there was. I remember I was reading a book one day. I think it was a motivational self-help book, and it spoke about this organization called Toastmasters. And it's a place where you go to be a better public speaker. And I've been a member of Toastmasters now for, I think, about 5 years. And I've progressed through the various levels of Toastmastering, if you like. So a Toastmaster is someone who stands up and gives a speech at the end of a dinner, typically. But Toastmasters is a very old organization. It's 100 years old, and it was founded in America, and it's spread throughout the world. There's Toastmasters in India, in Argentina, in South Africa, all over the world. There's hundreds of clubs. I think there's 50 alone here in London. So I joined Toastmasters, I progressed, I gave different kinds of speeches, I gave prepared ones, I gave improv speeches, I gave speeches where I had to evaluate another speech, so be a critical and can give constructive feedback. And slowly but surely, I began to find little tips and tricks, which I began to add to my own armory, to my own arsenal of public speaking. And I was very successful. And then I also started to work. I'm a salesman. Hopefully many of you can't tell, but it's my job to pick up the phone, to cold call prospects. I actually speak to a lot of CFOs, CEOs, COOs, all the O's basically. I try to speak to on a daily basis. I have to try sell them. So I needed to learn how to be a better speaker and a better communicator so I could excel at my job as well. And last year, I think I finally cracked the code as to how to be a better public speaker. The picture there you'll see on the bottom left there is me giving my winning speech. It was an improv speech, that one, to about 250, 300 virtual people. It was the London Toastmaster Finals. I won it, and I progressed on to compete in the England National Finals. I've done that twice. The improv speech, where they give you a topic and you have to think about it on the spot and deliver a speech, which is 3 minutes long. And I've also won the evaluation contest as well, which is where you have to listen to another speech, quickly write another speech, and then deliver it in 3 minutes. But let's get down to the nitty gritty. That's why you're there. That's why you're here. How did I go from a tadpole to this public speaking champion? As I mentioned, there are a few things which I've learned along the way which help me prepare, deliver, and evaluate every single speech. I'm going to share them with you tonight. There's a few images on this page. Don't try to figure out what they are. I mean, you can if you want to, but I'm going to tell you. So how do we start creating a speech? How do we think of a topic, of a theme? Great question. And to be honest, I can't actually tell you what to write. I can't say, Alex, you need to go write a speech about this because that's great. Only you can choose what you want to speak about. But what's cool in life, you get given topics in a way, or themes actually. So in my job, the theme would be sell to this CFO, sell the product that we're offering and convince him to buy. But in Toastmasters, the theme would be make your speech funny, or motivate the audience to do something, or have a speech which has a very critical argument throughout it and have the end with a ending on a solid idea, something like that. So to help me build my speeches, I used to do it, but I've sort of changed it a little bit now. I used to carry around with me everywhere, like a little small diary. Yeah, sure, you can write, your dates in it and what you have to do for your homework. But for me, on the top right, this diary was just my idea notebook. And everything that I wanted to talk about, I would put in this idea notebook. For example, any weird experiences I had at an airport whilst traveling, or perhaps I was on vacation and there's a speech that I'm actually preparing for Toastmasters right now. It's a very strange experience that happened to me when I was in Jordan. I was in the Wadi Rum in the Dead Sea, and that experience had me. And I was like, oh my God, I want to do a Toastmasters speech about that. And I just jotted down the idea. I jotted down what happened and what I learned, and I'm slowly constructing a speech around that. Think about some weird experiences that have happened to you. Think about what you've learned through your life. What have you endured? What have you laughed at? What have you learned? You can build a speech or a message around anything. You all have really cool and really strange experiences to communicate. I want to hear a speech on them, seriously. Then you got to practice. So you've got your speech, you start building it out, you start thinking about the beginning, the middle, and the conclusion, and then you have to go on a stage straight away and deliver it. Sure, that does help sometimes, but as Sun Tzu said, every battle is won before it's ever fought. So if you have time to build this speech beforehand, to build this pitch, to build this message, this story, whatever it may be, and you have time to practice it a little bit every day, that is awesome. And that is going to help you go from the tadpole to the public speaking champion, which lies within everyone. So you'll see on the bottom right, I tried to find an image of people walking through an airport, but that was what Google spat out. I don't know if you guys remember airports pre-corona, but I used to do a lot of traveling in my job as a salesman. And every time I would walk through an airport, I would rehearse the speech to myself. The reason being, it gets me out of my own head. I think a lot of the time when we're delivering a speech, people are conscious, or we're conscious about what other people are thinking about us. Like, oh, they're not dressed right, or God, they look really terrible today, their speech sucks. It's not true. And getting out of your head and doing your speech in a public area where people only glance at you for a split second is a great way of doing it. In London, where I'm based right now, we have a spot near Marble Arch. It's in the center of the city called Speaker's Corner. And it's famous for this. People, they're usually religious people, go there and they deliver speeches to the public, and people can mock them, they can jeer at them. But the aim of Speaker's Corner is for people to get out of their comfort zone and start delivering speeches. Well, I can't go to Speaker's Corner every day, but I do a lot of traveling. So heck, why not do it in the airport? No one knows what I'm doing. I'm just like a madman speaking to myself, but I'm rehearsing my speech and I'm getting comfortable with saying a message out loud and knowing that no one really is noticing if it's good or bad. It gets me really, really confident and really, really pumped up. I have had one or two people actually ask me, hey, what are you doing? What are you talking about? And it's great because then I actually start a conversation with them and you actually get to deliver your message in a conversational way then. It's really cool. Now, I haven't just done this on airports. I've done it on the tube in London. I've done it whilst walking to shops as well. I just plug my earphones in so it looks like I'm having a conference call, but it works. You start to rehearse your speech, you internalize the message, and you get out of your head that people care about you all the time. They want to judge you. It's not true. The world can be a very nice place sometimes. And the picture on the bottom left is actually taken just behind me. You'll see this picture here. So one of the important things when it comes to delivering a speech is your body language, of course. Are you hunched over like this? Do you have your arms crossed? Are you moving your arms too much like a broken clock? It's difficult, I know. And I have this picture behind me to see how I am doing with my body language. Now, what you'll notice is it's actually a framed photograph of a vulture's wings. And I can see my reflection in there, but I can't see my whole reflection as if it's a mirror. It's very distracting, I find, to practice in front of a mirror because, well, I'm incredibly vain. I find myself just looking at my face and then start thinking about, oh, I've got a blemish there or a spot. But if you can practice in front of like a frame picture where you can just see the outline of your body, I think it's really good because you can see what your arms are doing, what your posture is doing without getting too distracted. So have your idea notebook. So instead of jotting it down in a book now, I just put ideas in my phone. Whatever you want to talk about, I'm sure there's a cool message in there. Get out on the street, get out in public and just rehearse the message to yourself a bit. Start internalizing it, start getting out of your own head and practice. Practice makes perfect. The message is true. Try do it in front of a picture like me. You can even do it in front of a window, actually, if you live in an apartment or a house, and then when people walk past, stare at them and give them the message as well. Now, you've rehearsed the message, you've built the speech, you're roaring to go, but just as you get on the stage, you feel that woof in your belly, you've got the nervous energy flooding yourself, you forget the speech, and you start to slowly collapse and fade away like the Ottoman Empire. Just kidding. How do we build up that internal confidence, that internal belief that our message is awesome and we're going to rock the stage, the physical or the virtual one? Well, I'm glad I had my camera off before this and I was on mute because I was actually doing these exact tips before I began the session today. But firstly, empty stomach. Now, since doing this speech, I've actually updated some of these notes. So last year I was preaching, do it on a full empty stomach. It's great having a speech, because you're with no food in your belly, because your mind is super active and energetic. So last year when I went from the London finals to the England finals, I actually didn't eat any breakfast. And when I got up to do my speech, I felt absolutely terrible. I literally tried to practice what I preached. And since then, I've refined my message. I think just have a small meal. Don't eat too much. Don't get really sluggish and really feel like having a giant Thanksgiving dinner. But before this, I've had a nice light dinner. I know I'm full. I know I've got energy flowing through me, but I'm not sluggish. I don't have bits in my teeth either. I'm not, like dripping with meat sweats or whatever, but I've got my energy. So absolutely, empty stomach, it's very important, but even better is a half stomach, I would say. Then we go on to lovely old water. Now, if you're not drinking enough, please pick up your cup right now and have a quick sip with me. Delicious. Best thing before a speech is water. Please don't drink coffee or alcohol. Reason being, I don't know about you guys, when I have coffee right before I'm about to do something really important, I get the jitters. I get quite nervous, I get quite energetic, and I shake almost. Don't do that before you are giving a speech, because your nerves will combine with the caffeine and you'll just get so phased out. It's not good for you. Alcohol, guys, if you really want to get confident, you can't rely on an external source like alcohol. It's great having a beer, it's great having a wine, but if you're relying on that to get you confident, you're not really building the internal skills. So when you go into a meeting with a CFO or your boss, you can't quickly neck, a vodka all the time. Sometimes I'm sure you can, but you can't do it all the time. You have to build the confidence yourself. And secondly, alcohol, because it can get you a bit too confident and you might over deliver a message. You might be too loud. You might say something which is completely contradictory. Don't do it. And last but say not least, nicotine. So last year I heard a rumor that politicians and rock stars, before they go on stage, they have a drag of a cigarette, even if they don't smoke, because the nicotine gives them a buzz. And I thought, that's really interesting. I've got to try this. So I don't smoke. So I went and bought the Nicorette gums, which are horrible, by the way. I mean, if you chew them to get off smoking, congratulations. But I couldn't stomach it. And I felt so buzzed after it. It was like a caffeine high. I couldn't deliver a speech. I couldn't focus. I was just like, oh God, like what am I doing like this? Please don't try that as well. It's not for me, definitely not for me. And I would not recommend you to do it either. The best thing is water with a little bit of lemon, as you can see in the picture. I find lemon juice just lubricates the throat a bit and it tastes good as well. Cheers. So you're hydrated, you've had a little bit to eat, but what do we do then? Well, if you look at the pictures on the right there, I've tried to give you a little bit of a couple of hints. So you need to warm up. You need to warm up your voice, your body, and your mind. And how do we do this? Well, what I like to do, whether I'm meeting prospects or clients or strangers at Toastmasters, I like to greet everyone when they come in. I stand by the door and I say, hi, how are you? Welcome. It's so nice to meet you. Something like that. I like to try and greet everyone in the room. That's obviously not going to be possible if you're greeting, 200, 300 people if you're a rock star, but it's good just to make eye contact with everyone, wave at people, just make sure you're part of the crowd in a way. Then you're showing everyone that you're a friendly guy and they're showing you that they're friendly people as well. Gets a little bit warmed up, shaking hands, getting a little bit energized. And then the bottom right picture there is my favorite one. So I like to, as I call it, friendly jeer. Not jeer in the bad way where you go like, boo, not that. But if someone makes a speech in a Toastmasters meeting or on a client call, I really like to laugh if it's a funny joke. Like sometimes a bit too much, but again, it just gets me out of my head and it gets me like on level playing field with whoever I'm watching or whoever I'm presenting to as well. Because you show, hey, I can laugh, I can experience this element in the moment. I'm not focused on my phone. I'm actually listening to what you say. And when you laugh, it just loosens you up a bit as well. Or if someone says, does anyone have any questions? I'm always the first one to put my hand up. Again, I just want to get out of my head and I want to engage with whoever's giving a speech. because it gets me warmed up, it gets me pumped, and it also shows me, hey, these people who I'm presenting to, who I'm talking to, they're actually quite friendly. They want to hear what I have to say. So have a little bit to eat before, stay hydrated, and warm up your voice, warm up your body, and warm up your mind. Remember, every battle is won before it's ever fought. Before this call, I was literally doing that. I was doing some like improv speaking to myself. I was pretending literally I was going back in time and I was a dinosaur and I was kind of walking around my apartment like this. I'm so glad none of you saw it, but it worked. It just got me laughing at myself. Now, during the speech, as I said before, I can't actually tell you what to write or what to say. I can help you shape the message, sure. If you need a little bit of extra coaching, hit me up afterwards. But I've got some pointers which help me out and I've used during all of my speeches and presentations to clients, I think. Firstly, the transfer of power. This is really, really, really important. If you guys go and watch like a rock concert, if you go and watch a comedian, they never have the main act to start with. They always have a warm-up, right? The warm-up does what they have to do, and then they transfer the power. They say, guys, in 2 minutes, we're going to be welcoming Bon Jovi, or even as the band finishes playing, Bon Jovi or the comedian will come out and they'll shake hands and they'll transfer the power. They'll say, I've had my time, now it's your time. I love this. It's such an old ritual, but it's so polite for you to go and like shake the person's hand who's just introduced you on the stage, or if you're introducing, or if you're before someone who's speaking after you, introduce them as well. Like show like it's a routine. It gets you brought into the moment as well. I'm going to speak now. Let me transfer the power. Let me grab that person's hand and suck the energy from them. Nerves. Are you nervous when you go on stage? Is your belly still creasing despite doing the warm-ups that I've just suggested? Are you worried that people are going to be judging you? There's a very simple answer to this, my friends. Walk up to that stage like you're a badass, like you own the building that it's in. Shake the hand and stand there. Stand there with your arms by your side and don't say anything for a solid 10 seconds. Wait until you can cut the anxiety, the tension in the room with a knife. It's amazing. You get grounded, you breathe deeply, and you look at every single person in the eye. And then they're hanging on your every single word. It's my most powerful technique, I think. Just stand there and show you are the boss. If you'll watch rock star public speakers, like people who really move a crowd for better or for worse, Donald Trump, Hitler, whoever, watch what they do. They get on stage and they usually don't say anything for a few seconds. The crowd can be cheering, can be roaring, and they wait for the crowd to be quiet because they are the star of the show. They have to wait for you to speak. You'll calm yourself down and you'll realize that you're awesome in that moment. Power. What does it mean? Check your body stance. Are you standing like this? That's okay. It's a bit strange though, standing like a superhero sometimes. Are you standing like this? Are you standing arms crossed? Are you perhaps standing sideways? No. You're standing straight. Your arms are by your side and you're slowly, or you're pausing actually, I should say. You're not saying a thing. You're getting warmed up. You're getting ready to go. How do you open the speech? Do you start with, hello? Do you start with, today I'm going to tell you about this? There's no right or wrong answer here, but I've shared a few of them which I think work really well. You can start with a question. Ladies and gentlemen, how many of you take the train to work? Interesting. I'm going to tell you today why taking the train to work is a bad thing. This is me just improving, by the way. I don't think it's a bad thing. But notice what I did. When you ask the audience a question, they're starting to interact with you. They're replying to you. and you are leading, not them. Gets you out of your head. These guys just want to hear what I have to say. It's a good place to be. It's fun. Or you can start with a fact. Did you know that the majority of people who smoke are not killed by lung cancer? They're killed by car crashes. I'm only joking. Again, I'm literally just making this up as I go along. But you state a fact, you get their attention, and then you back up the fact with the rest of your speech. Maybe you start with the end of the story. And it was at that moment when I was crying in my apartment that I realized she was the love of my life. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to tell you how I met the girl of my dreams and how we ended up happy together. Start with the end. People want to know, hey, how did you end up crying in your apartment? Or you start with saying like, and that was why the CFO said we were the best investment he'd ever made. Something like that. Again, I would never use that specific opener, but start with the end. It builds that curiosity. And again, you're the one leading the conversation then. You're showing and guiding the people how you're going to take them to that end conclusion. If none of these work for you, a brilliant one is, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Matthew Robertson, and today I'm going to convince you why taking your bicycle to work is the best thing you can do for yourself, for the city, and for the environment. Just greet everyone, say your name, and just say what the hell you're going to say. It never gets old. Now, done the introduction, you power stance like a rock star, you've paused, you've held the audience's attention, and you've opened really strongly. What do you do then? Again, I can't tell you what to write, but I would recommend this to build the structure out. Have the rule of three. It's a timeless narrative device. The beginning, the middle, the end, and then the middle, you have 3 different points to back up your conclusion. So the beginning, and then you go into, let me tell you about this problem. Let me try to tell you an example about the problem, and let me tell you why we should all try address the problem. Something like that. Rule of 3 always helps to organize a speech and also helps to organize your thoughts. For example, actually, wait, I'm going to save that one part for a moment. Less is more. So when I was in university, one of my teachers gave me some really good advice. I would write, really big essays. I did history as a degree, and he would always say, Matthew, you need to cut less. You need to write less. You need to cut some out. You need to do what I call the circumcision technique. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm not Jewish. And he said, no, you just have to cut 10% off all your essays, and then they'll flow much better. It's the same in speeches. What do you have to say, I'm sure, is brilliant, but if you can try slim your message down to something that's really concise and really, really thought through and really short, you'll get someone's attention much faster, and the call to action at the end will be better. There's a reason why people, I think, struggle to listen to scientists and to engineers, and why, the salesperson exists, because scientists and engineers are incredibly data heavy. They're very quantitative driven, but some of them lack, the skill to be able to put this immense amount of data and information into a concise message. If you can shrink this huge speech into something very, very short and concise, you will have people's attention much faster, and they'll remember your speech as well. Closing. Again, I can't tell you what to do here, but this is what works for me. Summarize the speech. Ladies and gentlemen, today I've told you about this. I hope it's inspired you, and as a next course of actions, I would recommend this. Tell them what you've told them. That's it. A summary should always last, I think, between 45 seconds to a minute, depending on the length of your speech, but keep it short. Just summarize it and give the audience a call to action. Now, the bonus, what I was talking about or hinting at. But what if I'm given no preparation, Matt? What if I'm doing an improv speech? What if I'm asked by my boss, hey, you've got 3 minutes, and then I want you to present this topic to the board? Well, have a drink of water first, because that'll buy you a few seconds. But this is what I've tried to excel at in Toastmasters over the past year. So in Toastmasters, we have the improv speech category. I'll give the speaker a topic, and you have to answer it literally on the spot, and you have to keep the speech within 2.5 to 3 minutes. What I would recommend here is, firstly, every single person on this conference call line, as I've said before, has some really, really interesting stories. And you can probably have a bag of 5 to 10 different stories, which you can probably relate to every single question somehow in the world. I'm not even joking here. You just have to try tweak the introduction to it. But what you do is, someone asks you a question, give yourself a moment to think about it. Yeah, that's really interesting. I'm really glad you asked that question. And then give your answer straight away. Don't think too much about the answer. Just give whatever your gut feeling says, as long as it's not like racist or like a really weird, wacky answer. Just give your honest opinion on the subject, and then go into how you're going to structure your argument. So I'm really glad you asked that today. Like, that is a fascinating topic, talking about how we can save emissions by mowing the lawn by hand. I'm going to tell you today the best kind of mowers you can buy that are manual driven. I'm going to tell you the best kind of techniques you can use so you don't use that much body energy and not get too tired. And then I'm going to share with you a quick story about how I've been successful mowing the lawn by hand and without any gasoline. Again, I'm literally trying to improv this as we speak, but that's how I would structure it. Give a short window for your brain to think about the answer. Give the answer, and then give how you're going to structure the answer. And then your brain will already know how to answer it. You're going to talk about these 3 different points. Done. Filler words. Yeah, stuff like that. Filler words are our brain supplementing awkward pauses or awkward moments with words. You'll say, it's quite, sometimes like stuff like that. Now, filler words will go with practice. They will go with confidence as well. But what you can also do, if you are uncertain talking about a topic, you can also just slow down. It sounds silly, I know, but most of the time we're always talking on like quite a regular tempo for us, or a fast tempo. But if you are aware that you're going to have a filler word, or you're going into uncharted territory mentally, just slow down. Give yourself some time to think about what you're going to say, and then you won't have the filler words anymore. Yeah, sure. They come up occasionally, particularly when we're improving a speech or when we're delivering quite a long speech, and that's okay, but they'll happen less and less. Just slow down and practice your speech before. I believe that's the conclusion of the event tonight then, ladies and gentlemen. So to summarize, take every opportunity to practice, guys. If you're in a speech and someone has a Q&A, ask a question. You're literally giving yourself a speech then. If someone offers you a role in a company meeting to give a presentation, take it. You've got nothing to lose except great exposure to the company. Time is time. I have been working on my public speaking development for the past 5-6 years. I don't know how long, to be honest. Could be from when I was born. It's going to come. Just be patient and keep practicing and taking every opportunity. It will come. I can promise you that. Every battle is won before it's ever fought. It's true for everything in life. Just keep practicing. Keep taking the opportunities to prepare before you actually go into the event. Last but certainly not least, a little bit of an upsell, join Toastmasters. It's the best investment I've ever made in myself, besides my bicycle. I've enjoyed every single meeting I've ever been to. There's clubs all over the world. I'm sure there's a club in your city, wherever you're located. It's incredibly friendly, a welcome environment, and a great place for you to begin your public speaking journey. I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now. I'm happy to take some Q&A. And if you do want some extra coaching or just to throw around some ideas, very happy to do that. Just message me on a Small World afterwards. Let me stop sharing. Awesome. Administrator, I don't know, do you unmute people or do you take questions directly?
No, people can ask questions directly on the chat or the Q&A.
Cool, awesome. I'll wait a few minutes. Oh, there we go. Emily, when I stand up to present, my mind is calm and ready, but my body goes into panic. Heart races, voices go squeaky. Any tips? Sure. So you get up, you're ready, you've got the message, you're feeling confident, but then your body kind of lets you down, right? It's a bit annoying. Like it's like you're mentally prepared, but you're physically just a bit like, oh, no worries. It happens occasionally, right? So as I've mentioned before, you've got to be, you're mentally prepared, but you've got to be physically prepared. So I don't know where you're presenting, but let's say, you know, you're at the office, go beforehand and do something physical. So go and, like, you know, greet people physically, hug people if you're still allowed to do that. Just get your body warmed up with, it's okay to be around strangers. High five is another really good one because you're literally sharing a positive emotion there and your body goes, yeah, that's awesome. These people want to be my friend. And you go up to the stage, walk really confidently. One of the things I like to do, it's really silly, but it's like a tradition of mine. It's as I'm walking up, I go like this, like I'm bowing almost. This is only in Toastmasters. I don't do that in my real life. But it just gets me like in a silly frame of mind. And then when I get up on stage, I'm in control of my body. I go straight into calm, confident Matt, take a few breaths, relax myself, and then I get going into my speech. So warm up physically beforehand, high fives, hugs, handshakes, and then go confidently onto the stage with your body, swing it a bit if you want to, and then power pause, ground yourself, not grind yourself, and then begin. I hope that's what you're looking for. Vadia, sorry, I might mispronounce your name. My voice is naturally silent. How should I practice to speak louder? Interesting. I actually missed that from my speech, I think. Really good question. So, firstly, you got to warm up your voice a bit. And I can't believe I didn't actually speak about this, but as I mentioned before this speech, I was walking around my apartment doing like dinosaur noises. So before you're about to speak, go somewhere private if you want to, if you're feeling a bit, I want to warm up in private, and try and do some vocal warm-ups. And it's not something I mean like singing out loud, but if you can sort of hum very silently, that'll get your vocal cords warmed up. So like almost try and make the sound of a door creaking and closing. I find that really helps, and you'll notice a difference straight away. If you experiment with different octaves in your throat, your voice will naturally go lower. But also, the more you public speak, the stronger your voice will get, the vocal cords will develop, and you'll naturally see your voice start to lower. You could just take the quick route as well, just start smoking 20 cigarettes a day. No, please don't do that. But warm up your vocal cords before. But also realize if you do have quite a silent, soft voice, that can also be a very powerful tool. Don't try like forcefully change it, but try and maybe think of a way you can use it to your advantage. Some of the best speakers I've seen have been very slow and quiet speakers, because then we have to lean forward and listen to what they're saying. So try warm it up, or try use it to your advantage. Fraser, what's your one tip if you want to hide any tricks or stammering? Any tics, sorry, my dyslexia. I just did a tic then, you noticed. I stood there and I clapped my hands like that. I've noticed that. I've noticed people wringing their hands as well. A nervous tick as well can be like something in your face, or maybe it's you know, you shuffling your feet where you put your foot up and down like that. As I mentioned to Emily, warm up before, practice, because when I practice a speech first time, I'll notice I'll do ticks. My arms will be like, you know, too wild, or I'll have funny thoughts and I'll try, you know, put them into my speech before. Practice and the ticks will go away. Warm up before and get on the stage and just, again, take those 10 seconds to ground yourself. But the most important thing is to practice before. Practice that message a few times every day. That's what I do when I'm preparing for a Toastmasters competition. I practice the speech 3 times a day. And by the time I'm presenting it, it's literally like I think it's better than knowing the back of my hand. Like I am reading almost from a teleprompter in my mind, and a physical teleprompter as well. I'm knowing, okay, move your body exactly at this time and move it in this way on this word. Practice makes perfect, Fraser. Oh, I got some on the chat as well here. Elena, all in capitals. How do you manage not to get too energetic when you're speaking? I mean, to spend like professional, but not like a stiff or delusional person. No worries, no worries. If English is not your native language. So if you get too energetic, it's often a sign that you are a nervous speaker. Like, oh, I just want to tell people my message. Please listen to my message. It's happened to me before, particularly when it's a speech I'm really excited about, or if someone gives me a topic which I know I really want to talk about, and actually I can often end up talking about something completely different. Get on that stage, virtual or physical. Take a deep breath, Elena. Think about what you want to say, and then do it. I think that getting on the stage and just making sure you're present and grounded. I know it's like very metaphysical, the words I say, but it's so true. Just take a moment just to calm yourself and make sure your body's not too wild. Put your hands at your side. Please don't do this. I find that rude. Don't clasp your hands together, but just stand normally, stand straight, have your chin parallel to the floor as well. Take a deep breath and you'll be fine. Eric, when you have a presentation, how much effort do you need to get ready to master your presentation? Is there a kind of ratio, prep time / show time? Brilliant, brilliant question. So I'll answer this twofold. So for Toastmasters and then in my job, and then actually threefold, and then in real life. So in Toastmasters, I'm known for like hammering out my weapons until they're perfect. I think that's the expression they use. As I've said, I've done improv speaking and I've won competitions improv speaking, but when I'm delivering a prepared speech, so something which I really want to talk about, and it's a speech which is 10 minutes long, I'll spend anywhere from 3 to 5 months preparing it. So I'm building a speech right now, which I plan on giving perhaps after the summer, so September, October time. And I've actually been writing down notes and building a script and the message I want to say for over a year. Like, it's been just in the back of my mind. I've given speeches since then, but I've just been shaping this message for ages. And it's like my mind is kind of like the Rolls-Royce production line. It's not the VW Polo line, I'm building a speech and it takes ages for every little component just to be perfect. So Toastmasters, months. And I practice 3 times a day. I know a lot of us, we love watching TV, we love playing PlayStation, but I think everyone has 15, 20, 25 minutes, let's say, to do a couple of speech practice every day. Just sacrifice that TV time for yourself and do some speech practice. It's fun. It is fun. And it's a skill you're building, right? And you can chalk it up to a great experience and you can pat yourself on the back when you've done. In my work, giving sales pitches, a lot of it is improv, but I will constantly refine my own sales pitch. And when I started building it, I gave myself, I think, when I started, 2 weeks to build and master my sales pitch before I was comfortable giving it in front of a client. And in real life, pretty much real life is all improv, right? And as I mentioned, I think all of us, if you're asked a question you don't know about in a bar or a nightclub or on a bus or wherever, you always have an answer for it. Just give yourself a few seconds to think about the answer before you give it. So anywhere from months, if it's a speech in Toastmasters, to weeks in my office, to, you know, a few seconds in real life. I think that's everything. I hope I've answered everyone's questions. And as I mentioned, please get in touch with me on A Small World if you want to discuss a speech idea you have, or any questions about Toastmasters or anything like that. And I've enjoyed the hell out of it, and I really thank everyone for taking time with their Monday to listen to me, and I hope it's been informative. Mrs. Administrator on A Small World, I'll hand back to you. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Matt. Bye-bye.